Hello everybody, welcome back to another exciting devlog. I'm here joined today with the ever amazing LNL. Speak your name.
Hello, that's me. I'm the other leader and programmer of the project. We've obviously been acquainted a couple times. We're both here today with our tertiary guest, Nate, our composer for this project. Nate, why don't you introduce yourself? Give a little bit of background on what you do.
Yeah, sure thing. As Elle already said, my name is Nate. I'm the composer for this project. I am currently a music composition student. And essentially, I just do a lot of that. I've done stuff for other projects, currently stuff that's in development. I kind of do my own freelance work occasionally. But that's what I'm here for. I'm here to talk about my work here in Diversify.
Exactly. So, we're going to start by asking a couple questions. We're going to have a little bit of a back and forth, and if anything comes up along the way, then we'll, add those in, and we can see what kind of discussion we can make.
You got it. I'm not great at thinking up on the spot, so you might have to do some editing.
Yeah. Yeah, right, you can take care of that.
Thanks, pal.
So, one thing I might as well ask that I'm kind of curious about. I'm curious about this as someone who likes to learn a lot about methods of new things I'm not super sure about. What do you use to compose and design the music, like programs, instruments, whatever comes to mind that you use, and what methods and kind of thought processes do you go through when you compose new tracks in general?
So as part of my equipment, I use Logic Pro 10 as my digital audio workspace. That's essentially just like a better GarageBand, if you will. It's an Apple product. I use a lot of my own instruments too. Like I am a guitarist, I'm a bassist. I occasionally have piano as well. I have a couple MIDI keyboards, and I've even used drums to using some of my microphones. When it comes down to the process, there's a lot of different things. Like for example, if I'm going to do more of a remix of it, I believe for the main debate sound, I essentially used a lot of melodies that the original composer already used, like the
Yeah, like
That's
the
my favorite
motifs.
part.
Yeah, so I occasionally just use that. So when you go ahead and use a motif that you already know, or like a melody that you already know, it's very easy to design and build around it. Because harmonizing it, there can be a lot of different ways to harmonize. We can go all day about harmonizing if you know anything about music theory, obviously. So that's a challenge within itself, but usually it's pretty straightforward. And then just designing what kind of sounds. Do you want it more like of a liquidy kind of track? When I say liquid, I mean like, do you want it to flow or have like a lot of like wetter noises?
Like fluid.
Yeah. Or do you want it more of like a gritty track? And basing on what you want from there, it's one thing to know, but it's another thing to definitely design. And of course, trial music and the non-trial music are going to be completely different sounding, because one's a lot more intense than the other. And that's
One's
just the
based
way-
around the action segments and
Exactly.
helping you
action, quote unquote. Yeah, there's a lot more tension and a lot more crunchiness, I want to say, for my music in the trial forms, and then compared to the non-trial. The non-trial music is a lot of like just grooving music, honestly, compared to the trial music where it's more, it's like super like electronic, trance based. Yeah.
Interesting.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Alright.
logical. Music's a very logical process, I think.
Gotta be smart.
It
boy.
interests me a lot. As someone who isn't versed in it very well at all, it interests me a lot. I think it's really
Yeah.
I think it's amazing to watch musicians do what they do, in my opinion.
Yeah, but if I ever did a stream, I think that's a boring process because you're just like hearing the same thing. I don't know if you've ever heard a music stream before, but it's hard to watch unless you're like having a lot of conversations going on.
I mean,
It's like watching programming streams.
Yeah, exactly. It's like watching somebody do something you don't know.
Except
Like-
you just hear one thing over and over again.
work
Yeah,
on
exactly. You
code.
hear a lot of clacking.
I mean, I assume it's kind of like the same or more general idea of like, doing like an editing stream where it's like, oh, you're going to be listening to the same part for like 8 hours
Exactly.
and then it's done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got it.
So,
You need to have quite a strong character to carry it, I feel.
Oh, definitely.
Alright.
Definitely.
Well, in that case, I have another question, sort of on top of that. In terms of the themes in the music of the game, what genre and themes do you think it'll generally follow? Obviously, it'll follow the motifs of, to an extent, the original tracks that they're based off, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, there's a couple of them where like it's impossible not to use that motif for the debates. The da, 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 da. It's impossible not to use that because
And like
it's
the Monokuma.
so recognized in the Monokuma things. I found that instantly. It was like an arpeggiation of a diminished chord, and I was like, oh, like you can't just not use it. It's been in all the games. It's it's already like so established. So why can't I use it?
Yeah, it's so iconic.
It's too iconic to not use it. Honestly. I don't use a lot of motifs other than like some of the trial stuff and the Monokuma themes. So a lot of this is just like my own stuff. Some of it's not really connected. Some of it is. It's really dependent, obviously. But I do use a lot of styles from trance, to jazz, to even classical in some places, or just like even serialistic classical. Whether that means anything to you, LNL, or is up to you. But
I will say I at least understand for the most part the genre. Things like that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can't imagine a lot of people are very serialistic or like to listen to a lot of serialistic music. There's a couple of that in there.
It's just kind of what you draw inspiration to.
Yeah, I think music in this sense for making video games is very drawn into situational stuff. So serialistic music is very it's more so to be mathematical, and it's not so much about like emotion like a romantic era type of music. Serialistic music is very just like straightforward, very mathematical. It's a very logical process to make music, but you use like a lot of equalness when composing. I'm not gonna get into serialism obviously too much, especially when I used it very scarcely.
Yeah, it's just like sprinkled in.
Yeah, and a couple of the trial music tracks, just because sometimes you just want to have like a colder sound, and using 12-tone rows or maybe like clusters are sometimes just the sound you want.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I think Red as well can also confirm that for the tracks Nate has made, there's a lot of variety.
Oh yeah, definitely. And just kind of interjecting in here with another question. So you were describing like a lot of the genres you do use, including some like the more colder sounds. What was like your process in thinking of like tracks for things like beautiful harmony and just like really amazing like soft tracks that that you basically listen to like while exploring like the museum in this case in our game?
Yeah. I used a lot more jazz. I'm a very big fan of jazz. So I actually took a lot of kind of chord progressions from a lot of very popular jazz tunes, and I essentially use that. When it comes to some of the non-trial music, looking at it right now, like looking at the list that I've done, it mostly is kind of based on jazz. Like everything from the opening theme to the beautiful lie, the in between phases, the gotcha games, to Monokuma's lessons. It's very jazz inspired, if you ask me. And
it sounds amazing.
Being a big jazz artist, or big fan of jazz rather, it kind of makes sense. Makes some sense.
I heavily agree. Nate's jazz, his ability to create, his tendency to be able to create and look at jazz on a critical level is like really impressive.
Yeah, I mean like the investigation music just blows my mind every time I listen to him. Like, oh yeah, this is it. Man.
Oh yeah.
It's very jazz.
We are looking at dead bodies today. Oh.
Whoops.
Yeah, I think that was essentially. I remember like even asking. I was like, "Hey, do you want it to kind of sound like this or this or this?" And most of the tracks I sent you, jazz tracks. Yeah, and you're like, "Yeah, all those sound pretty good."
Yeah.
So I was like, "Okay."
Yeah. Pretty much everything you send tends to get big thumbs up. I think the main. I think when we did go back and forth on was the one, but we shouldn't talk about that right now. I don't think.
Gotta keep it close lips, man.
We haven't shown that yet.
Well, maybe we should go ahead and listen to some of the music that I'm like very happy about.
I was actually about to ask that. In particular, are there any like tracks you made for the game that you're particularly proud of or enjoyed working on to like a particularly high extent?
Yes, there is. The upbeat, beautiful lie. I loved making that because all it was just a jam session, but with myself. Like, all I did, I was like, all right, here's gonna be my chord progression. I'm just gonna solo over it, and then I picked the solo. I picked a certain solo, and I'm like, yep, I'm just gonna repeat that. And then the rest of it is just like me jamming on the guitar, or me jamming on the piano, or me jamming on the bass. Like that's all it was. and it turned out really good, and I'm really happy. Especially some of the synthesizer sounds are like really nice. So I'm very happy about that.
And I'm very happy about that because it's a brilliant song.
Thank you, thank you.
Brilliant little bit of music.
I mean, honestly, I've listened to Beautiful Lie and like Beautiful Humanity so many times now, just doing whatever, because it's just that good, man. Like, this is a very feel good, very awesome music.
Right?
Speaking of feel good music, Nate. So I heard you do some personal music, huh? How's that been going?
Not great. I haven't released a lot of things for my freelance stuff. Like, I've released a couple, but I'm still working on a lot. And obviously, being a student and working on a couple games is not exactly the easiest thing to do in the world.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. We make sure not to overwork you. We try and keep it
No, if I'm
down.
overworking, it's due to myself.
Yeah.
It's because I got out of school. If you remember that one time, I just kept pumping out tunes.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, that's when I got out of school.
The entire day we had the whole discussion back and forth about. I think it was here actually. We had the big back and forth about.
Yeah.
We were kind of discussing what we wanted to sound like.
Yeah. It was. I think the thing was. Wasn't that like the metal one? I think that was the metal one.
Yes, that was. It was the very intense one.
Yes, it was with the. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I can't explain why, because that's a thing we'll talk about. You know, when we show that off. But trust me, it's great.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah. I have listened. I don't know if you remember this, Nate, but a couple while. No, I think it was like a summer ago. I don't exactly remember, but you did drop like that one song you did. I think it was called like Airplane, and it has some very beautiful vocals done by you, Nate. I just thought it was a great song.
Oh, that was a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
That song's
very
dormant
good.
right now. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I'll bring it back sometime.
We still need to collab one day.
We need a big rap collab going on.
Collab.
One day, but not right now. One thing I actually want to ask as well, real quick. This is kind of branching off one of the previous questions I asked. So, obviously, we were talking about what had inspired you, or what themes you were kind of following, and we kind of talked about how you're following some of the themes of like obviously the original Danganronpa game tracks because you'd expect you to. What else do you take inspiration from? Just like music, or genres in general, possibly, that influence the outcome of your music and the rest of your music in general?
I think one of the biggest things that influence is just my entire life. As an artist, I can safely assume that I've been inspired, and I've been, like, throughout my entire experiences as a person, have impacted what I've done today and like right now. So like narrowing down certain things can be very hard, I think, because I think I'm a product of my generation, and thereby my art is a product of the generation. So a lot of like things that come from my music are just a lot of the things I've experienced as a musician and as a person too. Narrowing it down to be quite literally impossible unless you want to like go through my entire life, but I don't even remember that. So
yeah, well, you're just a culmination of everything that's happened to you.
Yeah,
right?
because everything, like, I've experienced so much, and I've still yet to experience a lot. So my music is just a product of me and who I am. So
there you
That
go.
was very beautiful, Nate.
Deep answer,
You're
eh?
so amazing.
yeah, yeah. Look at me. I can get poetic sometimes.
You're brilliant, Nate. You're a brilliant
Thank
person to work with.
Oh, thank you.
Love you to death.
You're so
Love
amazing.
you too.
I think.
But yeah, like Nate. Just to kind of end this off, would you like to I don't know, sponsor your music or anything? You got, like, SoundCloud.
Where can people find you and your content, Nate? Splash it up on screen right now.
Yeah, there's a Twitter, there's a Bandcamp. That's usually about it. I'm still working on Spotify. Once I release in like an EP or another release, so I'm working on stuff behind the scenes. I'm also working on Pokemon Uranium and making a soundtrack for that, a more stable soundtrack.
I forgot you were doing that.
Yeah, it's still happening.
I remember that. Yeah, fuck.
I'm vaguely dormant, but I'm still. I'll have you know, I'm still working on music. I've made a couple things. Not a lot. They haven't released anything with my music in it yet. As of right now, October or November 23rd, I haven't released any music on there.
All right.
But yeah, Twitter and Bandcamp. That's what I have so far.
All right.
That
Sounds brilliant.
is Great. All right, guys. That about wraps it up for another amazing devlog. Thank you so much, Nate, for being on here. You're a great man.
Having me. Thank you.
Everyone
I
give
hope-
Nate some positive support.
Woo!
Yay.
Yeah. Go and check out his stuff in the link
Words of
description
affirmation
below.
is my love language. Sorry.
Yeah, go and check out some of Nate's stuff. You can also go check out the OST video we did a little while back with
Yes.
all of the work in progress music.
Definitely.
And yeah,
Do that.
thank you guys so much for seeing this development. Haha.
Hope to see you around.
Yeah. Bye.
See ya.
Good job, guys.
Way to f up the ending, Zach.
I really
Zen,
hate
you
that
came
Zen
in
joined
here.
midway.